So yes, I'm Lauren Trimble. I'm a ceramic artist and sculptor, and I've been doing it for about 12 years now, 15 years, and I've been doing art for like over 20 years in all different forms. So I started writing and doing illustration, and then I tried oil paint, and then I tried painting, and then watercolor, and then I started doing sculpture, and I loved it, and that's been my main art since then. So the tiles are interesting, and that's why I got to be part of the show today, the cross-pollination, because they are a mix of my illustration from my past and then my modern day sculpting. So what I did is I drew an image, an illustration, totally just out of my head, visualization, and then from there I made a tile. So I literally carved the three-dimensional shape. And in order to do the tile, because I wanted to make a mold, because then it would be affordable for people to have in their homes, I had to make everything so there are no undercuts. So basically it's like a bas relief. And I know that when I actually make the tile and I add the colors, because the colorants are used as a wash, they're going to sink into the crevices. So it's going to give the illusion of depth and give the illusion of the contours and the detail. So I kind of knew that that would work. So that's the piece that I would have made. And
you
then,
don't have the carving here, do you?
well, I would have made it out of clay.
Oh, you carved it in clay. Okay.
I made it in clay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So the original would have been in clay, just like that.
Just like that. Okay.
And then I don't have them right now, but basically I would have these L-shaped pieces of wood, like that. And these are really great because then I just put them over top of my piece and I arrange them the right size. And a flat surface like this actually works really good to make a mold. And so I just do it like that. So about, about 1.5 inches away from the actual tile itself. And then what I would have done, so you can imagine these are wood and these are actual clamps, so it's pretty solid, not like cardboard. And then I would have taken rolls of clay and I would have put them inside of the wood and I would have made a seam. I'll do it on the other side so the camera can pick it up. And it basically will create like a seal using the table. And the table's actually really good because plaster won't stick to these arborite-like plastic surfaces because they're too smooth. So I would have done that on all the seams, including up the sides. And then I would have mixed my plaster. So I would make a bucket of plaster, and then I would pour the wet plaster in, and then they don't have to be too deep, maybe 1.5 inches, about that much. And then I let it dry. And when that happens, then I end up with a mold made of a plastered up piece. So I can keep using this. This is a newer mold. I have molds that are like 10 years old that I still use. So it's kind of a nice way to do a series of work that you can keep making. So all that would happen, and then eventually I would get to the stage where I could do some production. So the way I do that is I usually have a little more clay than this. I came here on my bike, so a lot of clay. But I would have this kind of clay and just make it a big block, and then I will just keep pushing the block into the mold, which I'll show you how I do it. So I'm going to make the top surface smooth. And I guess I can show you some of the tools that I use before I go ahead with the clay. Knife, pretty basic. I have a lot of carving tools, so these are, and I would use these to carefully carve out. I have these of various sizes. There's a little metal hoop on the top, so I can actually remove details. And then anything could be a tool, in fact. So I used this a lot 10 years ago. And then I have tools for smoothing. Like I could even go back and use this and get an even smoother surface on my piece of clay there. So, and then just wooden tools, metal tools. Again, paint scraper that I use. Here's a bigger metal hoop tool for carving. And this is a great tool. Again, construction store, right? They're great places to find things. And what I would do, this is still a little soft, but with this, I would literally come along and just clean the edge. And it's going to take off that rough edge. And then at the end, when it dries, I would really sponge it to get it soft. So that's a little bit of that. And this tile that's been pressed already, I would go in and clean up some of the details a little bit if they didn't press too well. So pressing tiles is the fun part because it's loud. So what I do is kind of fit the clay in as much as I can. And I want to try to get the corners full. So I'm going to move the clay around as much as I can to get that there. The clay is sticky, so I always use a piece of fabric. So initial bagging, I just tend to go from the very middle and I work my way out. And that's going to push the clay down and spread it out into the form, into the mold. And if you go slow and gradually, it's actually a little bit better. Rather than all at once, fast, you'll get folds or creases in the clay, and yeah, it's good. And then when I've got it pushed into the mold, I'm going to fill in all the gaps with the flat piece of wood, and this is the loud part. So that's pushed in, and then I'll take the wood off, the fabric off, and then I'm just going to lift up the top a little bit, and use these wire cutters. Cut it off. And then you can see that if I just cut this down, I can use it again. If it was a little bit thicker, I can just keep going until it's too thin. So, and then just peel off the extra. And it won't come out till it's drier, so I'm going to have to leave it for just a second. We'll see if it pops out before I'm done. So then, if you're unfamiliar with clay, this is going to get put into the kiln, and it's going to get fired once to this fire. And then my technique is, as I mentioned already, to use washes, glazes like washes. So I get a thin color. I have done glazes where they're like solid, but I'm not as fond of them because they don't show the detail as much. So starting to do more in the kind of the iron oxide wash technique. So then it's just a case of, will it let go? Probably not. I might be able to coax it. Yeah, there we go. So we'll just pop out, and then I just have to tidy it up, clean it up, and I can keep making more and more as I go. I could probably do 10, 20 in an hour if I keep it up, so it's good. Yeah.
Do you ever like deviate, like do something different so they're not all the same?
Yes.
Like not just washes, but like patterns and.
Yeah, sometimes if I have a bunch of clay that's left over, let's say like this, and I'll just make a ball out of that. And when I press it into the clay, you're going to get a lot of the cracks from the regularity of just mushing it all together. So I do that sometimes. And the other thing you could do is add texture. So if I had rolled out my piece of clay on, say, canvas, there would literally be canvas texture. So then that would get imprinted in parts, not all necessarily in parts of the piece. Yeah. So there are different ways to play with that.
Do you use regular ink when you do the ink wash on it? It's what kind of ink?
It's actually colorants used for glazes.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
for ceramic glazing, mixed with Gertzley borate, which is a kind of a clay material. So it's basically a glaze without the glaze part. It's just the colorant that you would have in a normal glaze product. So.
And you don't fire it after, you just...
Yeah, you do need to fire it.
You would fire it again
it's not
after,
actually,
okay.
it looks a bit like a paint, but
Yeah.
it's literally like oxides,
Okay.
like minerals and oxides that are burnt into the clay.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
So it won't wash off. It's,
Yes,
it's set.
permanent, yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. Were there any other questions?
So do you glaze it first before you fire it, or do you fire it, then glaze it and fire it again?
So this one is the bisque. So when this is perfectly dry, I bisque it
Okay.
to a cone 05, 06. And then,
Sorry, what does that mean?
so that means that the clay itself is going to go through a quartz conversion. So right now, if this clay was to put, like if I put some of this clay in water, it would just turn into mud.
Right.
It's going to disintegrate. But once I bring it up to cone 05, cone 06, it's going to be vitrified to a point where it's going to hold its shape.
This is in the kiln. You're
Yeah, high temperatures.
Right. And,
Yeah.
But you do this before you glaze it, and then glaze it, and then you fire it again.
Because the glazes are water wash,
Yeah.
the chemicals are sitting in water.
Okay.
And you
If you
might
put it
play-
on before it's fired, it would.
Yeah,
Dissolve
it's
it.
going to turn all muddy and
Okay.
everything. So,
Okay.
so it's the classic thing with clay. You need to bisque it first,
Okay.
it becomes solid, hold its shape, and then we can use glazes or, even when you're dipping into a glaze, it's going to be a liquid. So you don't want your pot to disappear. There you go. So that's a necessity.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question. When you poured the thing into your,
The plaster?
yeah,
Yeah.
did you carve it by eye, like digging into the thing, or did you like have it print into?
Well, you can see that because this is sitting in here,
Yeah.
that the plaster, like literally this is...
Oh, so you imprinted the
Yeah.
that thing into the plaster.
So I poured my liquid plaster into
Yeah.
this. There's the piece, and then I'm going to...
So you
have
first did the
Yeah.
clay, and then you did the
Yeah.
plaster.
And then I would have this piece. The plaster gets really hot when it's curing, so
Okay.
basically this piece would be in there, and
Okay.
it would get all hot, so the clay would kind of dry, so I'd have to basically break it out of the mold. And
Okay.
That's the mold. Yeah.
And your plaster, is it only plaster, or do you mix any cement or anything else in it?
No, just plaster. You have to get the ratio right,
Yeah.
but yeah. Too much water and it tends to get, it can be too soft, or too much plaster can be too hard. Because this is porous. And
Yeah.
part of the reason it worked where it's giving back my clay tile right away was because it's absorbing a bit of the water from the clay.
Right.
So it breaks the bond of the surface. Yeah.
That's a cool process.
Yeah,
It's very
cool.